Hello everybody and welcome to the Human Echoes recap for Happy Season 1, Episode 7. This one's called Plot Convenience Theater. Wait. No, it's called Destroyer of Worlds. Yeah. And we start off with a sequence that I needed the previously on Happy segment for. Because previously on Happy, shows about the entire 15 seconds that they've spent establishing that Mary's mom, who killed herself in the last episode, by the way, did not mention that last week. That was a huge oversight, and I apologize. You guys pointed it out in the comments, and I appreciate you holding my feet to the fire, because I'm fallible. But, she is dead, and they want to remind us of that and maybe make us feel a little something as we're coming into this new episode. And the way they do that is really cool and awesome, weird, happy stuff where it's a rendition of Rockin' Around the Christmas Tree with Mary's mom dancing and lip syncing along to the words, or possibly singing. I don't actually know. It sounded like the standard version you hear on the radio to me though, so I'm going to say lip syncing here. And of course, you have Smoothie dancing around with her and some other people who possibly are ancillary characters in the series, or just they're there for the music video. And then smash cut to her in a body bag. This would have been more effective as a reminding me to feel bad about her if I had really had it sunk into my head that she was a singer. And as we already established, I miss things, okay? I do. But the Mary's mom as a singer angle I don't think they hit that super hard. It's mentioned a couple times, obviously, if you watch the previously on bit, but it kind of went over my head. But beyond, the whether that all works in with whether you remember she's a singer, and it's going to be super confusing for people who watch on Netflix and, spend a week or two in between an episode and come to it later. But whether or not you remember that, this is just pure happy weirdness just dripping off of every frame of this music video, and that smash cut to her getting zipped up in the body bag. It's a smart idea, okay? I really admire what they're going for here. I didn't feel not that it didn't work, I understood where they were going, but again, because I didn't remember the singer connection, it just didn't quite hit the nail on the head for me I assumed they wanted it to. We flash forward to Nick making his getaway from Blue's house. He's in full-on Nick violence mode. He's got Blue's wife. He's got Blue's kid. He's shooting up all the peoples. And this is pretty standard Nick stuff, although we haven't seen him do a lot of gunplay yet. He's been a lot about using his fists and beating people up. And it's nice to see that. At the first episode he shot people, right? But he hasn't been much of a walking around shooting people kind of hero. And it's cool to see a little bit of a different action trope since we've seen him just beat people up a lot, for him to get kind of shoot 'em up, literally the movie Shoot 'em Up, and also just video game shoot 'em ups. That was neat. And then for Blue's wife to give him up so quickly, I love that character moment a lot. That feels so real to me. The fact that she's living with this absolute loser, okay, just the worst dude possible. This episode in particular, I think also, and we'll get to this a little bit later, really hits home how just pathetic Blue is. On the one hand, he's got the power, and he's willing to use that power to browbeat the people in his life into submission. But he's still just kind of a coward, and he is, just running these errands that he doesn't really want to be running. He's gotten to what he thought was the top of the totem pole and found out that there's a whole lot more pole going up above him. And to see this guy be totally ineffectual in the face of all of these people was a lot of fun, and really rang true that she would give him up after how he's treated her and their son. And then we get our first bit of plot convenience, which is that little Blue, all right, little boy Blue, the son, I forget his name, finds the detonator that Nick had brought to Blue's house to blow up himself or everything. You know, this is chip that he had in the bag to possibly get out of the situation, pushes the button and blows everything up, I think. I mean, we see it in the rearview mirror of the car. Like, we don't see bloody pieces of Mrs. Blue and Little Boy Blue scattered around the pavement. Okay, maybe they made it out alive. But my read on this is, we're done with those characters. They've served their plot purpose, and we've just wiped them off the map. They're just gone now. This is my little whiteboard. I'm erasing the characters from the whiteboard. And so now it's just Happy and Nick heading to go find Blue. Happy and Nick have a conversation here about the other thing that I forgot to say last week, which is that Happy has killed now. I mean, he killed another IF, all right, another imaginary friend, and it was a bad guy. Like, he had a good reason. And it's nice to see Nick trying to, like, this is the one thing that Nick understands, is killing people and being violent, and Happy's finally killed somebody and been violent, and Nick's like, what do I say? Good job, but not. You're gonna remember this for the rest of your life, but I don't. He's not good at, like, reassuring Happy here. A lot of you talked about the idea that Happy is now becoming Nick's imaginary friend as well, and how that, like, he's taking on certain characteristics of Nick. And I think that that's maybe not, like, super borne out in this episode, but very much alluded to in the fact that Happy can now home in on Nick, right? He can. It's not just like Nick can see him, but Happy mentions that they have a stronger bond now because of Nick saying that he believes in him. And yeah, that happens, and they go along. Meanwhile, in the house that they're headed to get to, Mikey is chowing down on some raw hamburgers like demon-possessed corpses are wont to do. He says something in Latin to his mom when she tries to take the food away from him, and I, like, Google translated it because I had the caption up. I had to, like, rewind 3 times to get the caption to come up, then be able to read what it said. And it was just like, give me the food. That was a little bit of a waste of my time, guys. But if you wonder what he said in Latin, it was, give me the food. Could have just said it in English? Or maybe the demon doesn't know English. You think the demon doesn't know it? I wonder, he must understand the people who are talking around him. It's a weird limitation to have, dude. Just speak English. He does, though, say blue at some point in his own voice and goes wandering off again, takes a car, like, plows through his legions of female fans that he has, I guess, because of the reality TV show, and goes and wraps the car around the tree, leaving that plot thread essentially flapping in the wind for next week. Speaking of plot threads that have been flapping in the wind, Amanda goes to Sunny Shine. And this is, I mentioned the blowing up of people earlier as being kind of plot convenience. This, I think, is the beginning of where we're seeing a lot of plot-driven decisions here. It did not really register to me that she would have done this. That she would have just gone to this guy and said, well, she disappeared at your concert, I need help. I didn't feel that character decision. It did not resonate with me like something, this is definitely what Amanda would do next. I get, you can make the argument, she's out of options, all right? She's run out of things to do. This is a choice she could make. It's not like so far out in left field, but it feels a little bit just forced for the sake of the plot. And the plot is that, A, we find out Sunny Shine is major creep, all right? Just like weirdo celebrity stuff going on. It's not sympathetic to her plight at all, like does not have any ounce of empathy in him at all. And then, of course, like, we find out he's a bug. Not like a real bug, unfortunately. It'd be cool if he, like, was, like, he had, like, skin and he pulled back and then he was a bug inside. But no, he just wears the bug suit and has weird rave orgies with people with other animal masks. And then Amanda finds out. And he wants her to find out, I think. I don't know what the plan here is. I don't know why he wants her to find out. But it's very clear. He says, don't let her leave the building to his guards. And then they, like, essentially herd her into this room where Sonny's doing this thing that he got set up to do, and that's basically... she has time to make a phone call, though. Before, I was going to say that's basically it for her character, but she does have time to make a phone call, and who she makes a phone call to is the other major piece of plot convenience here, because we have Nick having stolen Blue's car. Mary, now having had her ties to Blue through her mom cut because her mom committed suicide, now she's able to go off and do her own thing. So she's mad at Blue, wants to take Blue down, goes after Blue's car, rams it off the road. Of course, Happy and Nick, did I say Happy took the car? Nick took the car. Anyway, rams it off the road. Nick's inside, like, just happens to be able to talk to her about what he's doing. She says, hey, I didn't know Blue was, like, trafficking kids and stuff. I'm sorry. And at the exact same time that all this happens, Amanda just happens to be in Sunny Shine's place, finding out that Sunny Shine's doing some creepy stuff, and calls up Amanda, and just happens to be where Nick is, and also Happy is with Nick, and he overhears this conversation, and it plays out okay. Okay, I'm not saying, like, I did not think about how coincidental this was until I was, like, thinking about it the next morning. But it's pretty coincidental that all of these threads just collide like this right in this exact spot. And in addition to this, I think I forgot to mention here a little bit earlier, one of the things that Happy mentions to Nick in the car is he's talking about the Sunny Shine concert, and he says the reason that Haley had snuck away from the concert was so that Sunny Shine could hear her secret wish, which just, like, ew, Sunny Shine. I know, like, there's so much implied here that Sunny Shine is doing already. Like, this should not come as a surprise, but this just little detail, the fact that he calls it hearing your secret wish, and he uses that to lure the kids away and have them kidnapped by Meth Santa, is just ick. Bleh. I believe I skipped over this in chronological, but Blue has had enough, and speaking of wiping the slate clean, he decides he's going to shoot the producer and several other people around him just in a sort of mad rampage because he's trying to get this password back. And this is the first episode where Blue comes across as kind of sympathetic. And I don't want, he's not super sympathetic, all right? He's still evil and bad. But the fact that he just wanted to be like a mobster. He wanted to run some drugs, maybe pay off some judges, like have some casinos. He'd probably bump off some other people who were in the criminal world, and maybe there would be a protection racket. But he's stuck in this kid trafficking thing that even he is not, like, cool with. But he's under the thumb of this other bug. The people over him are giving him crap. The people under him are giving him crap. And to really see, like, how... I think it's the fact that his sister berates him here. And he deserves it. He 100% deserves it. Okay? I'm not, like... I don't feel like she shouldn't have done that. But when she just absolutely dresses him down in front of the cameras and all of these other people, like, that's a rough moment for Blue. When she talks about just, like, what a wuss he was as a kid, and, you know, how I don't remember all the details. People made fun of him for having a small penis, okay, which is, like, really low-hanging fruit, guys, but, you know, it's the kind of thing that's going to hit home for somebody like Blue, which is what triggers him to go off like this, and seeing him just melt down throughout the course of the episode. I'm not, like, sad about what has happened to him, but it did make me a little bit more like, oh, this guy's like a real human, kind of okay. Okay, I understand a little bit more of who he is. Meanwhile, Smoothie and Haley are prepping for their final journey for Christmas Day, which, just as a sort of side note, makes me wonder why they didn't, like, have this end at Christmas. But I guess if you're going to have the Christmas spirit in it, you probably don't want to start, like, in September because people are going to be annoyed with you. So I guess starting in December and working towards Christmas is fine. But Christmas has not happened yet in the show. And they've brought Haley back to the place where they're all getting wrapped up and stuff. And Smoothie and Haley have a back and forth or whatever. And they're getting ready to be shipped off. And one of the answers to the question that I had last week was, why does this warehouse have a giant backdrop that looks like New York City and has like trees and stuff set up? And the reason is because it's a sound stage. It's not like just a photo booth. It's not for the kids. It's an actual Sunnyshine sound stage where he's recording this stuff, which is what Nick and Mary figure out, and they're heading this way too, because Happy says, oh yeah, we went to Sunnyshine's castle and it was cool and we met him, and Nick's alarm bells are going off because this guy's a perv. Smoothie is packing the kids into these boxes that look like toy packaging, which was really clever. I thought that like the way that they executed this toy packaging and had these kids dressed up like dolls and were delivering them in these giant boxes that look like doll boxes was a great bit of set direction. I mean, it's probably not the most like elaborate thing to pull off, but just like little details and like the hairbrush that's tied to the back of one of the boxes so that, you know, like a doll would have. You're like, comes with their own hairbrush that you can really brush your hair. That was neat. And of course, Nick busts in. He wants answers. Starts shooting up the place. Him and Mary. I keep messing those names up, and I'm so sorry. Him and Mary split up. Nick goes in the front way. Has a rather predictable encounter with Smoothie initially. Okay, I'm not saying some unpredictable stuff happens with Smoothie as well. But initially, Smoothie gets the drop on him because Nick is the bull and Smoothie is the brains. Amanda, on the other hand, breaks into the back, and there's been, last week, or the week before, it was Nick fights lumberjack ninjas, all right? That was like the thing that I wrote down that I was like, I'm going to get to say this out loud with my lips, with my mouth parts. I'm going to say those words. This week, it was Mary fights robotic Teletubby in my notes. I'm so disappointed that this is kind of a one-off, seemingly, character. Maybe we'll get more in the finale. Like, we're heading towards the end here. I think next week is the last episode. So maybe there'll be like 10 of these things just taking them down. But I have like so many questions about the robot Teletubby. Because it's like an attack robot. It has, apparently, it's been programmed to be able to fight and like know how to kick a gun away from somebody that wants to shoot it. And that's not like the weirdest thing that happened in this show, but it's a new kind of weird for me. The idea that there are these weird robot things that just exist, and that's a thing in this universe. And she fights it, and it's like a 30-second scene, maybe longer than that, but it's not like this huge deal is made of Amanda fighting the robot Teletubby. She fights it, she gets away, the Teletubby dead. Or whatever robots do, they broken, okay? Robot Teletubby not cool anymore. What, we're just gonna breeze past that? I want more robot Teletubbies, guys. I want more evil robot Teletubbies in my show about the talking pegacorn, who's imaginary. Man, I get to say those words. I thank you, Happy. I just want to stop here just for a second here in the middle of this recap and thank Happy that I got to have all of those thoughts in a row. Okay. Meanwhile, Nick. Hey boy. The next line after Mary fights robotic Teletubbies is Nick v. Smoothie, Dawn of Weirdness. And you may recall, if you've been watching these along as I've been going, last week I had trouble remembering Smoothie's name. And I have had for a couple times. Because it He doesn't get called out by name a lot in this series, and I'm bad with memory stuff. So I forgot his name. It's a weird name too. And in my mind, when I hear smoothie, I think of like a milkshake type thing, but it's like with fruit and things instead of milk. It's maybe better for you. That's not what's going on. I'm not gonna forget his name now. I won't forget because he doesn't have a penis. He's a Ken doll. So however that works, it's another thing I have questions about, like just biologically, like how does he pee? How does that work? Or is he a girl? Like genitals wise. Like it didn't look like that. It looked like he was just smooth. So I'm gonna that was my takeaway. He does have some accoutrement though that he manages to get going. And the music choice here was nice. I really enjoy the Mars Bringer of Worlds music that they played. Dun, dun, dun. If you ever want to sound like smart, like you know what you're talking about with classical music, you could just bring up the fact that John Williams kind of ripped off Mars Bringer of War for the Empire theme in Star Wars. Not completely, but like you can really see where he got the influence. So the evil empire is invading Nick Sax's butt, and Mary comes in and shoots it smoothie. I'm having a hard. This is a weird one. We're gonna be okay, and we're just gonna move on. I do not want to pass up the fact that the implement breaks off inside of Nick. So that happened and was, man. Yeah. Moving forward, Nick and Mary going into their big showdown with Blue. Shoot Blue, not to death initially. Like I thought for sure Nick comes in, him and Mary both like side by side, guns blazing. Now it's not shoot 'em up, right? Now it's not Hot Gun. What's the one? Hot Shot? No, not Hot Shots. Great movie though, with Simon Pegg, where they're like the cops. Crap, you guys. I could remember this any other time except when I'm talking about it. Anyway, you know where they're flying through the air. Nick and Mary do that. They bust in the room, side by side, guns blazing, 2 guns on either hand, 4 guns in each, whatever. They're shooting people up. They shoot Blue in the head, graze him, but like possibly like knock a piece of his skull off, but he's still cool. And he runs away. Nick and Mary trying to get to the truck that has just pulled off. Blue runs away. Catches his sweater on the fence. And one of the minor scenes we forgot to mention was the fact that Nick's sister has gone back to the fortune teller and said basically, hey, what gives? Where's my son? What's going on? Like, I need Blue out of the way. Blue is wrecking everything. And she's like playing with this ball of yarn and says, like, this unravels, it'll be cool. And I like that Blue's sister wasn't like instantly cool with this. She's like, I've put up with you for so long and you're just showing me a ball of yarn. I've like, why is it a ball of yarn? And we find out why it's a ball of yarn because Blue's sweater starts to unravel in a way that I don't think sweaters really unravel, but this is movie world. And we just had a robotic Teletubby. So let's not get hung up on this particular detail, which means that Mary is able to follow him and finish the job. Blue has been wiped off the board as well. And we're back to Nick and Mary heading to the real bad guy, which this is something I have a little bit of an issue with, but we're going to go see Sunny Shine. All right, they find the empty trailer. Haley's gone. They have the clue that points to Meth Santa's imaginary friend. I'm worried here. Well, I don't know. Worried is not the right word. I wish that if Sunny Shine's gonna be like the final showdown villain, I would have liked for them to spend more time setting him up. For Blue to be the villain for 7 episodes of the series, and then all of a sudden to introduce in episode 7 a new character. I mean, granted, we saw him as the Bugface, but like didn't know anything about Bugface. Like now we know, okay, Sunny Shine, singer, like we know what his deal is, kind of. For him to all of a sudden be set up as like, okay, this is the guy they have to take down, that feels a little bit clunky to me. Like not how I would have handled it, I guess. It would be nice if he could have been set up a little bit earlier as a character. I know Sunny Shine, I know they've been mentioning it, right? I know we saw the concert earlier on. But for them to just come out of nowhere and be like, all right, now they have to kill this guy that you've basically never heard of before. It makes me think that they might be setting up like a season 2 thing where, okay, we got rid of Blue. You know, that's a victory, but we still have our setbacks, because that's how fiction works, right? You set people up, they get a good thing, then, you know, 1 step forward, 2 step back, or whatever. You have to have those balances. To kill off Blue here was cool, but now we don't have like a villain that we have any understanding of, and we've just left Amanda trapped in the middle of this rave. I don't know what Sunny Shine's plan is beyond, you know, weird sex stuff with kids. It seems like we also have no idea what's going on with Demon Mikey. That's got to be connected somehow, but search me as far as if I know how. Maybe you guys do, because I hope that you tell me in the comments. I'm basically at the end of the recap here, and so this is what I do at the end. I'm going to say, leave a comment if you have any clue at all what's going on with Mikey and how that all ties in to the Sunny Shine universe, and what this password is and how that gets anybody out of anything. I don't know. I guess the password can be like a MacGuffin, essentially. I mean, it has been a MacGuffin this whole time, but if it could be a useful MacGuffin if it actually gets Nick out of whatever's happening with Sunny Shine. But the way all of these threads tie together, and what's going on with the weird rave orgy, what is this spirit world we're dealing with where Mikey is infested with the demon? Like, is it connected with Happy's thing or not? How do all these threads pull? Maybe they don't, all right? Maybe it's just sort of like we have a demon-possessed guy and an imaginary friend and some mobsters and a robot Teletubby, and none of these things really have anything to do with each other. Just enjoy the show. And I am. But I like it when things are connected a little bit more. We'll have to wait and see and find out. I feel like we've got too much to wrap up next week. I suspect we're going to get a good conclusion next week, but still have enough stuff left hanging for a potential season 2. And I want a season 2. All right? Somehow. I don't want it to be the same thing, okay? I don't want to still be chasing Haley for like 5 years. All right? But if there's a deeper world here that Nick can get involved in and like just soak himself in this weirdness, I am all for that. And I hope that you guys are too. I can't imagine that you would have watched this whole video if you didn't enjoy this show at least a little bit, as much as I did. Probably more, honestly. I've been a little bit critical of some of the plot convenience stuff, but I think that it works. Despite the fact that it struck me later like, man, that's super, like everything just came together right when it needed to. It didn't bother me at the time, and the weirdness level being dialed completely to 11 continues to amaze. If you like this video, leave a comment, and then if you want to comment, you should like the video, because that's how that works. And that's it for the happy recap. I'm Albert, and I'll see you next week, guys. Take care.